Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Luke. It's Wednesday, April 23rd, and behind me, y'all can hear, we've got our Wilmar sprayer running. It's time to start applying a fungicide to our wheat crop. I just got done meeting with our extension agent here in Randolph County, and we are going to conduct a trial here on my farm, treated versus untreated winter wheat with Miravis Ace. And then I'm going to run a different product on some other land, and we'll try to compare the Miravis Ace to that as well. Let's get started, y'all. So here in our little box of goodies here that my extension agent brought, we have some Miravis Ace. These are 1 quart jugs. They bought, I guess, a bulk package and split it off between a bunch of different counties. That way each county can kind of do their own research. So we're going to spray. He's got it laid out on a piece of paper for me of how we're going to spray it. We're going to do a untreated, and then a treated, then an untreated, then a treated, then an untreated. And then this summer, when we go in there to start harvesting it, he'll come in with a weigh wagon, and we'll weigh each sample. We'll pick a specified distance, and we'll harvest that specified distance, and then we'll weigh each pass. And that'll give us a generalized idea of the yield difference between treated and untreated. To me, you know, the last 2 years we have applied a fungicide, and I think it's probably helped with head scab and stuff, but I think where we really make our money back is in our test weight. I know the last couple of years we've had some neighbors that the test weight's low, and typically our test weight's higher, and I attribute that to us running a fungicide versus them not running a fungicide. So maybe we'll get some tried and true data here and see what it does. So I've got our tank mixed up here. We're running 13.7 ounces of Miravis Ace. Also threw in 5 shots of Bore Shot, which is a boron product. Also has just a little bit of nitrogen. And then I also threw in a insecticide just to try it and see if we can tell much of a difference. Usually I run all my insecticides early in the season and don't run one later in the season, but I had someone recommended me running it later, so I thought we'd give it a shot. It's, you know, real cheap to run it. But I pulled up here. He's got me way more Miravis Ace than I need to do the trial. I think he's got something like 11 acres worth, and we're only going to do like a couple acres for the trial. So I'm going to do a couple trials myself between it and the Prosaro Pro, which is the other fungicide that I'm buying to run on the rest of my acres. But we've also got these 4 acres up here of oats. 3.5, 4 acres up here. I don't think I've really showed y'all this much, but they're really starting to look pretty good. This is like a winter oat. I'm going to harvest it. My wife uses some for her sheep, and then a lot of times we'll mix it in, like if we resow hay fields and stuff. And then I've also had a lot of people reach out to me wanting to buy oats in bags. So I figured this year I'd try 3 or 4 acres, see how they do, and maybe next year plant a few more. But I'm really happy with the way they've turned out. I really wasn't too pleased with the way they were looking earlier in the spring, but they've really filled out and they've headed out good now. So anyway, we're going to start by applying our Miravis Ace here on this 3 or 4 acres, and then we're going to go do the test plot, and then we'll wrap it up and spray some Prosaro. Probably not going to get much on this on camera. It's hard to spray and video at the same time, and I don't have my magnetic base with me, so it'll be hard to hold you guys anyway. But y'all have seen me spray plenty of times, and all I'm going to do is go back and forth. But I wanted to show y'all these oats. They are looking really good. Getting our fungicide applied here on our winter wheat. The old Wilmar is getting her belly rubbed a little bit. Wheat's looking pretty good. For the most part, everything's flowering. We already got a little head scab going on here and there, but get this fungicide on here and hopefully protect it. Today we're applying the Prosaro Pro. We've also got some boron in there and a surfactant. Overall though, I'm pretty happy with most of our wheat. Guess we'll find out what it'll yield here in a couple weeks. Looking pretty good, boys. droplet nozzles we got. Trying to push that fungicide down into the canopy. Get as good a coverage as we can get. Protect from head scab mostly. Y'all look at that gorgeous sunset behind us. Good day to be planting some beans. It's starting to get a little dry out here, but we still got enough moisture. I think the beans will come up. We're just praying for a rain now. This is an Asgrow. It's a 4.9 maturity Extendflex bean. This is a farm we just picked up this year. As y'all can tell, this is the one that we bush hogged the cotton stalks off of. For about 140,000 population. And our old Kenzie 3500 is doing a good job. Should we cross our fingers that that's rain coming? There's not any chance hardly tonight. Boy, I do wish we'd get some. Unfortunately, we missed all the rain yesterday, other than about 30 little sprinkles. We're relying on the good Lord that He's going to send us some rain and get these little beans going. I'm wanting to get these beans done and get switched over to corn and get a little early corn planted, but kind of hesitant until we get some rain. We know what the lack of rain for corn did last year, and I don't really want to have to relive that again. Beans, I'm not quite as concerned about. Most of the time, once you get them up, they're pretty hardy, and they're a whole lot cheaper to plant, probably half the cost of seed. Yeah, we're going to get this 20 acres done and then probably wait till rain until we plant again. Well, we got that to about 10, 12 acres. I think we ended up with a 13 on the monitor. We got that 13 acres planted. I'm not going to go to the back part of the field till tomorrow or whenever we plant again. I don't want to be on them hills back there in the dark. Especially been out having never planted them. Anybody tell me why does John Deere, when you turn the flashers on, your hazards on with the front lights, it turns the backlight off? Like, I mean, I guess I can see not blinding somebody, but like, I can't see nothing behind me. Lights on, flashers. Front lights are off now. That's a different notch. And then the last notch is off. So it's either backlights on or only flashers. Whatever sense that makes. But anyway, I'm going to the house, get a shower, get something to eat. See y'all tomorrow. Guys, today we are in our grain bin. We are loading out the remainder of our 2024 winter wheat. As y'all can see, we've got our auger here in the middle. This is taking the grain from this outer edges, taking it into our center here. The other day I put us a new cord on here, I put a new belt on it, and I added us a start-stop switch right here. Trying to be a little more safe with things. Don't know if y'all recognize the truck, but I'm sure some of you recognize the person. Famous on TikTok. That's right, Tar Heel Farmer's here on our farm buying grain from us. He's from probably an hour or so away, but he's buying the rest of our wheat so he can bag it, make feed, and sell to his customers. Morning, guys. Saturday, April 26th. As y'all can see, we got the hood open on our dump truck. Last weekend when we were hauling chicken litter to this new farm, which I don't think I've showed any of you guys any of that. Just hauling chicken litter, just like what we normally do. Anyway, on the last load home, Coleman was driving home, and we had some belts break. Luckily, he was able to get it to the field here and get dumped, and I got some new belts put on this sucker. So that's what we're doing this morning. Another new farm we picked up this year. It's got a couple ditches that have washed out, and I need to haul a little dirt in to kind of fill those ditches in so that it doesn't wreck our equipment when we go over it. So yesterday evening I come over here and brought my Bobcat T300 back home, and now I gotta get the dump truck ready, and we'll take the T300 and load this thing up with some dirt, then take it to the field, fill those ditches in. So gotta get my new belts on here real quick, see how much of a pain in the butt this is gonna be, and then we'll be ready to go to work, hopefully. Well, as y'all can hear, we got the old truck put back together. Unfortunately, Advance Auto Parts, who we deal with for a lot of our stuff now, ordered these belts last weekend. Unfortunately, they ordered 2 of them wrong. Went up there this morning. Luckily, they had one that's a 1/2 inch size smaller than what it's actually supposed to have. They give me a 1/2 inch bigger than what it's supposed to have. They had one of them for the power steering pump, so I got it put on, and it fits. So I'm gonna have them go ahead and order me another 1/2 inch smaller belt, just so it'll work. But hopefully one belt's enough to run the power steering pump for a day. We're gonna head home and get the skid steer unloaded, fill it up with fuel, and start hauling a little dirt to that new field. I would love to get it planted today. Starting to get a few drizzles of rain. I didn't really think there was much chance today, but maybe we're gonna get a little rain. I'm not gonna turn it down, especially if we'll get a decent amount, because we are getting pretty dry. We did end up with a couple of tenths. I believe it was 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, but that'll help get our beans that we got planted out, get them coming up, but it's not gonna be enough to keep them going. So we're getting in pretty desperate need of a decent rain here. You know, a couple inches kind of rejuvenate the soil, kind of bring the water level back up a little bit. But you know, all we can do is pray to the good Lord that He'll bring some, and we know that He'll take care of us, and that's what we have to believe in. That's what we have to trust in. So anyway, let's get to work. So I'm sure by now, some of you, if not most of you, have probably seen our video where we picked up this Bobcat T300 off Facebook Marketplace for $5,500. If you hadn't, go back and check it out. We've done quite a bit of work. We've got it working now, and I think I've ran about 1.5 tanks, maybe 2 tanks of fuel through it. Still having a little bit of a power issue. Still getting a bunch of sludge and algae and whatnot coming out of the fuel tank. I'm not sure if that's still our issue, if it's plugging the filter still, or if we've got like a turbo issue. I know several of you mentioned check the turbo. So once we get done with what we're doing and kind of get a little bit of a slow point, we're going to check the turbo on it. I do have a spare turbo off the other T300 that I had bought. But anyway, enough on that. We are running it and using it some. My John Deere skid steer is still over at the other farm. We used it for loading chicken litter. And we used this one just a little bit there at the end because it got wet on us. But anyway, this machine, we're going to load this dump truck with some dirt. Dump truck back here, and we're going to load. I got some dirt piled up here. Well, we're trying to smooth our driveway out. This driveway used to get pretty narrow right here. It kind of narrowed up right here behind the T300. And we're trying to make it where it's a little bit easier coming in and out of here with like a road tractor, a semi truck. We added some tile up here at the entrance last year, but we're wanting to get us a semi truck here very soon. So we're hoping to get this road smoothed out, widened up a little bit, where it'll be easier on us getting in and out of here. And to do that, or continue doing that, we need to continue taking this dirt out. Y'all can kind of see where I've started shaping the bank back here. And we're going to shape it up where we can come out that driveway and have a lot more room to turn than we have in the past. So we need some of this dirt for the field up there to fill in some ditches. So we're going to do a catch-22 and try to fill both at one time. All right, got y'all up here back behind me in the cab. that's probably about all we need on this dump truck. Might be a little much. Old dirt's heavy. This thing ain't stout like a tandem or something. Let's go get this and dump, and then I'll probably end up hauling like one more. I don't think that'll be enough to fill in the holes that we need and to shape it up the way we want it. Well, I got that little area kind of smoothed out and some dirt packed in as good as I could pack it. See if I can get up here where I can show you guys. This was pretty rough down through here. Hopefully I've kind of got it ditched where it'll drain out. I can kind of tell down through here all the way up, but all that down in there was at least a foot deep. Some of it was closer to probably 2 foot deep. But I tried to make us a little slight ditch all the way up through here. I'm hoping it's enough to divert the water, but not so much that we can't actually plant over it. I think a lot of the problem is the previous farmer that had this farm, he never really raised anything in the winter time. Whereas like we typically put a cover crop or we'll have winter wheat, one of the two, to kind of help our stuff from washing. And he never really done that. So naturally a place that's going to wash is going to wash worse in the wintertime, just because typically we get a lot more rain in the wintertime, and without having a crop growing on it, we don't have those roots in the ground holding the ground together. So hopefully we can get this soybean crop on here, and then come this fall we'll plant a cover crop, and then next summer we'll have corn. At least that's the hope and the plan at the moment. Anyway, let's go get this tractor, it should be ready to rock and roll, maybe grease a few things, and let's get over here and get these beans planted for lunchtime. Here's some of our winter wheat on the right, and this is the last field of beans we planted right here on the left. They have not started coming up yet, but I did dig a couple up, and they are starting to swell up and the roots come out of them, so I'd say within a week. And like I said, our wheat's looking pretty good. We just applied our fungicide on it earlier this week. And yeah, hopefully here come about the 1st and middle of June, hopefully we'll be able to get that on 9500, eating some wheat, our old new Holland square baler, baling some straw, and then all these skid steers getting up the straw. I'm excited, I'm ready for it. I love that time of year. Wheat harvest is probably my favorite time for harvest. It is hot as crap, but there's about 3 or 4 days there that I can pretty much involve all of my family in some way, shape, or form. Typically I'm in the combine harvesting the wheat, and then typically I'll either have my dad or my uncle or my brother. Typically all 3 of them's here working when they're able, and one of them will be driving this tractor, pulling the square baler, and then one or two of them will be actually getting the straw up using our skid steers and accumulators on our skid steers. So it's a fun time of the year. We're not quite as rushed as we are in the fall. Typically in the fall, we're fighting wet weather most of the time. So I love the time of year. It's other than it's usually hot and dry. Sometimes it's hard to get our double crop beans in, but right behind the wheat, we'll put our double crop soybeans in, and then later in the winter, probably November, we'll be harvesting those double crop beans right after we get done harvesting all of our full season soybeans and then our corn. Well guys, we just got this 10 acres or so wrapped up here. Everything is planted. Hopefully we'll get some moisture here pretty soon, get these Asgrow 4.9 beans coming. We do have moisture, so I'm pretty confident we won't have to worry too much about it germinating. It's just going to be after germination. We're going to need rain pretty often to keep stuff keeping on and keep the weeds out as well. Old Kenzie's doing good. I think we're going to go home and I think I'm going to clean the hoppers out and figure out how to swap this thing over to corn and maybe go ahead and plant a little early corn. I say early, it's almost May now, it's April 25th, but I'm going to swap up plant dates on some of my corn. I'm going to plant a little bit now, a little bit, a couple weeks, try to mitigate our risk a little bit, spread it out, and we'll just see what happens. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the planter so far. Maybe it won't take too long, we'll be able to see what kind of job it's been doing. So when I'm done planting the field and we're going to get on the road, I have to walk to the back of the planter back here, and there's a big pin in the center lift member. I have to pull that pin out. I have to pull that big pin out here. Come back on the cab, raise the planter all the way up. Then come back around, put that pin back in. That's a safety pin, and when we're actually planting, that pin hits a relief valve up here that'll only let the planter raise up so high, just for safety. All right, then we just hit our other lever. This thing will fold right up. Then we'll be in transport mode. So far, we've planted a little over 40 acres of what I'm going to call early or full season soybeans. I've got about 12 more of early soybeans, and I would love to go ahead and plant them, but we're going to do a soybean plot with in-case seeds, and I haven't talked to the guy yet to get him to come down here, and I really didn't want to schedule him for next week, not knowing if when the next rain event might be. We've got enough rain or enough moisture in the ground right now to get our beans to come up, but in another week, I don't know if we'll have it or not. Probably taking a risk planting what I'm planting now, but I truthfully believe us getting these soybeans out early and getting them out now, if they can get on up and get to a decent start and can get the rain they're going to get, we're going to see a lot more yield potential than if we were waiting. So, anyway, we're headed home, and like I showed y'all earlier, here's some of our winter wheat. It's looking pretty good. If you can tell, it looks kind of patchy here in a few places. Part of this right here we had to replant. For whatever reason, it didn't come up to a great stand, and the wheat variety that we replanted with just hadn't got quite as tall yet. But overall, it's looking pretty darn good. Looking forward to harvest this summer. we've made it back to the shop here. I think I'm gonna run up the road here where we're planning to plant corn, or at least the first place we're planning to plant corn. I think I'm gonna take a look at it, just kind of see what the ground looks like, make sure we got enough moisture, which I think we should. Over here where we're just planting, looked like we had plenty. Once we get back, if we determine that's the route we're going to go, we'll have to take our 6 hoppers here on the back, take them off, empty the soybeans out, and then they have what we call a brush meter on the bottom. That's what basically meters out our soybean seeds, and we'll have to take those off and replace them with our precision planting finger pickups, which are in this tote right here. I had those tested this year and went through, had a part or two replaced on them, just to make sure, you know, they're good to go. And then we have to take these front rows right here, our pusher units. We have 5 units. We'll have to take, I think we take this chain off from what I was told, and then we take these springs right here and we loosen them up to this hole, and then we take, there's a handle on the other side of the unit that we actually take and pick these units up, and then we have this stop right here which will go down, and that will actually hold these units up so that they're not going in the ground or even anywhere near the ground while we're planting with our rear units. Our soybeans we're planting on 15-inch rows, and our corn we're planting on 30-inch rows. That's the reason we do that setup change. It's a little bit of work, but I was really tickled with the 15-inch row soybeans I had last year. So hopefully it'll go smooth, and hopefully there won't be just a ton of adjustments we have to do for corn. At the moment, I don't think I'm going to run our liquid setup. This to begin with is a little bit poor ground, and just getting the planter going, especially being we don't have any rain really in sight. I don't really want to put a lot of fertilizer in furrow that could potentially burn up our crop. And we've got a good amount of chicken litter on it anyway. And we'll wait and we'll probably add some fertilizer on some of our better ground here once we get to that ground. A little tip for you guys here. If y'all have a bunch of those carpenter bees, the ones that, you know, go into wood, like our attic access door here, if you have a bunch of those, put you up some either brown paper sacks, or this is actually some the paper wrapping from an Amazon box that my wife hung up last night, and I haven't seen a bee since. They think it's a hornet's nest, and then they just, you know, don't come around because obviously a hornet probably tried to kill them. But if you got a bunch of them, hang up some of them, give it a shot. Well, I don't think it's going to last very long, but we are getting a little bit of precipitation. See the clouds opening up there, a little pop-up thunder shower. It does look like the Smith farm probably got a good shower. It looked like it kind of built up over that way. At least maybe if nothing else, if we don't get much here at the house, at least that got some. I would love to see an inch though. I mean, that would be ideal. It would put us down for the day. We wouldn't be able to plant anymore until probably Monday or Tuesday, but be all right with me. Depending on how much we get out of this, we may not be able to plant till Monday or Tuesday anyway. Coming on down pretty good. Wash the planter off just a little bit. Had somebody recently comment on one of my videos. I guess they saw the sheep in the background, but asking if we had sheep. And yeah, we got a little flock. I think we got about 15 counting babies. These are Katahdins. These are hair sheep, meaning that they lose their wool. They basically gain their wool in the fall and the winter time, then they lose it in the spring. So we don't have to shear them or anything. And we just basically raise them like cow-calf pairs. We'll raise the babies and sell them to people for whatever they want to do with them. First year we actually sold some. A guy was going to make a mutton busting, which is like where little kids ride them. Pretty neat. All right, so to switch this thing over to corn, first things first, all of our down pressure springs are usually in this hole right here and all the way up here. That's the most pressure you can get on them. So we have now taken and moved them to the least pressure position, and we have let the planter completely down. You want to try to do this when the units are pretty much empty. We had just a little bit of seed in them, but not much. Not enough to add a bunch of weight. Once you get it down to that position, you take this bar right here. I'm gonna stick you guys right here. And there's these little latch things here. If you'll flip this little bottom piece down and then push this towards you, I'll go ahead and do both of them while I'm here. Already done that one. Once you've done both of those things, you just take and you put this thing on here, you pick up, and you'll hear them latch. And she's latched in the upper position now. The unit itself is not touching the ground, which is what we want for corn. You have to do this with the planter in the down position. It won't work any other way. Not really sure what it changes, but I tried it and I couldn't get it to work. And then I read a little note on this bar right here that tells you how to do it. That little bar just mounts right here on the right side of the planter if you're facing it from the front. All right, guys, so we have got most of our meters changed over to our precision planting corn meters. This one here I've got to finish up. We're getting ready to load up our corn here. This will be our first hybrid for the year. Trying a little bit of NK corn seed this year. They were a little on the cheaper side, and I know a bunch of neighbors plant them. I don't think they'll have the yield potential as, you know, a lot of the bigger companies, Pioneer, DeKalb. But I wanted to try a little bit of it. In this first maturity hybrid we're going to plant, it's an early maturing hybrid. This is a 95-day corn. Typically, on an earlier corn like this, typically you're going to see reduced yields compared to a higher day maturity corn. But with us in the corn business, selling deer corn, I want to have a corn that we can have some corn to shell earlier. I was hoping to get this out a little earlier than this, honestly, just so that we could have that deer corn market for a little longer or a little earlier. So hopefully this will mature out sometime late August, early September, and give us some deer corn early. It's only going to be a very small portion of our acres, probably between 6 and 8 acres. And who knows, maybe it'll do good. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, that's going to be our first hybrid. We're going to plant it right down the road here. So I'm going to get it loaded up here, and we're going to take off and see if we can get some corn in the ground this evening. So I started getting a couple of our hoppers loaded here. I want to show you guys something I noticed that I hadn't really noticed in corn before. See, most of this corn is treated green, but every now and again you'll see a red one. Well, from what I understand, the reason that is this particular, at least this particular variety, I think it was I was reading about on here, or at least one of the ones that we had. Yes, this one here, corn, most corn nowadays, GMO corn, has a BT genetic trait. Basically means that bugs, and certain bugs aren't supposed to be able to get in the cob and eat the cob up or eat the kernels up, whatever. Anyway, so you're supposed to plant a refuge variety with that, which is basically a seed that does not have that trait, so that it's to try to keep the insects from getting resistant to that trait. I know a lot of people have to plant a separate refuge hybrid with it, but this particular hybrid of seed corn has it already built into it. So we don't have to worry about it. It's going right in the planter. It'll plant right with our regular seed, and then, you know, won't have to worry about it. The sheep are having a good time out there. it.